Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Good morning. You are on air from Johannesburg, South Africa. It is a beautiful sunny morning. And with us today we have Claire from the Truth Page, a distribution company, and Book Lingo. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Caroline.
Claire, you've been up to a lot of things in the last 3 years since I've seen you. Just want to find out, is Erika on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Erika.
Good morning, Erika.
Hello.
How are you there in the East Rand?
Oh, it's cold. I'm sitting under a blanket.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry that I can't be in. Oh, my word. It's like life is just crazy this year. It's all sorts of things are happening. And I would have loved to join you to see Cair Rose again. And, to talk about all the new things that's happening in her life, as she is one busybody.
She is one busybody. Claire has just opened up her own company. She's moved away from her previous company. So she's running everything from publishing assistance, is that correct?
Publishing assistance, book distribution. Book distribution has always been my first love. So I've decided to also open a book distribution company called Turn the Page.
Okay, and we discussed a few seconds ago before we went on air, you were telling me about how the reader's demographic has changed.
Yeah. I've been in the industry for 10 years, and starting in the industry, they just visiting book launches. When you go to book launches, it was very small, and now it's changed, and you see a lot of black faces around, and also the stories that's coming, there's a lot more focus on local stories, which is amazing. I think we entered very exciting times in the publishing industry.
Your genres, what are we looking at that's popular? I know in South Africa it's not so much your fiction. We're looking at true stories, memoirs, cookbooks,
that's correct.
Children's books.
Yeah. In South Africa, we're still very much focused on the main market, or the biggest market is non-fiction, where there's a smaller market for fiction, and the international books still hold the biggest market for fiction in South Africa. But
keep writing fiction. It's going to change.
Yeah, but it's changing, and as I say, the reader demographics is changing, and there's a lot more importance on local fiction in South Africa right now.
Good.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
I know it's one thing that we always struggle with is we are fiction writers, obviously,
Yes.
and we're trying to work so hard just to make a name for ourselves in our own country.
Yes.
So it's really, really good to hear that it is starting to change.
Yeah.
So your distribution, how long have you been running it now, Claire?
Since August, the 1st of August, but I really just started about 2 months ago, and I've been very excited because about 3 weeks ago I've sent my first orders out to the bookshops. So
Woo!
I'm very excited.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah,
It's hard work.
very hard work.
It's groundwork. It's
but,
pushing.
yeah,
I
a
can
lot of
imagine.
groundwork. Yeah, but I love what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yes,
So
distribution is like running a separate company. You
Yes.
know, it's just there's so many things. I mean, we are with Blue Weaver, and our communication with them has to be like 100% of what's going into stores, where it's going in. And I can just imagine how, clued up you have to be with the system you use into
Yes.
keeping track of all of those things.
Yeah, and the other thing is also, it's not only up to the distributor. The distributor actually only lays the groundwork. So the authors actually
it's the
need to,
stores
they
that
need
also
to.
has to choose the title.
That's right. And they actually, how it works is that we have what we call sales reps. The sales reps then go armed out with a sample copy of the book and what we call an AIC sheet, which is the advanced information sheet that has everything about the book on there. And then the bookshop manager decides what they want to order, and they know specific from the demographics that where the shop is situated, what will work and what will not work.
Yes.
And what
Yeah.
is expected
Yes.
from the author side? Do you take on any book? Does the author submit to your distribution company and say, would you help me distribute this to the stores?
Yes, I take on any title. Mainly, some of the titles that I'm really struggling with is the Christian titles. Because we don't currently we don't have a supply, the vendor number with CUM yet.
Okay.
So it's mainly the main trade, which is bargain books, Wordsworth, Adams, Clark's,
Yes.
exclusive books, of course.
Yes.
So when the books go into the bookshops, it is the responsibility of the author to push as many people as possible to the shops. But it's
Okay.
also the responsibility of the distributor to notify the authors to say the book
This
is
is where the book
available.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yes,
then
yes,
the
yes.
author will send out like a press release or saying, my book is available at these stores at this price. Go and get it. Maybe I can meet you there and sign the book. Anything just to
Yes.
get them there.
To get them there. And it's also important that media and marketing, it's important for the author to have a presence, to get out
Yes,
there
yes.
and to get reviews, radio interviews, anything that will help and push the sales on
Okay.
their side. Okay.
So on the publishing
Yes.
side, you started your own publishing site under Book Lingo.
Book lingo, yes.
All right, and you're doing everything at the moment that Erika does at Cair Rose Publishing.
Yeah, I wear many
hard
hats.
to work.
It's difficult, but it helps when you've got a passion and you love what you're doing. So, Book Lingo basically was established about 3 years back,
Okay.
and specifically because as the previous company that I've worked in, I received quite a lot of books for book distribution,
Yes.
and sometimes the inside, the
it's a disaster.
outside looks fine. Cover design is perfect. Proofreading and editing has been done, and then you get into the inside, and there's so many authors that neglect the typesetting.
Okay.
So I've started Book Lingo as specifically to help authors to guide them through page design and typesetting, and
Yes.
offering a typesetting service to them.
Yes.
And when I left the company at the end of July, I decided, no, I'm going to now go full force, and I've created Book Lingo as a publishing imprint. And so far, since from the beginning of August, I've published 4 books under the imprint, so I'm very
Well
excited.
done. That is exciting.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
Yes, we are very. I mean, with Fireball Publishing, I'm very picky. I'm sorry. I don't know if you work like that as well, but I have to feel passionate about the book before I publish and sign on a new author. That's why we only publish not a lot of
specific
other
genre,
authors
yeah.
out there because, like I said, my passion has to be with a book. I can't sell a book if I don't believe in it 120%
That's
that
true.
it's going to work.
Yeah.
So yes, I don't know if you run your company the same way.
From my side, it's a little. Sorry, Erica. From my side, it's a little bit different because I run a self-publishing company, so I receive a lot of manuscripts from a lot of authors, first-time authors as well. But now, recently, I've quoted the author, and the book is just not there. So I've then told her that it needs a little bit of guidance, and I've referred her to my editor that's going to rework and work with her to get the book in a better shape before we can go into publishing. But so far, I've been really blessed that the books that have landed on my
It's
table
good
has been
quality.
good, yes.
And speaking from a marketing side,
Yes,
the book also has to be marketable.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
when Quill Publishing signs on a book and I look at the book and the cover's crappy, I'm going to say to Erica, I'm sorry, I don't want this. I don't want this in my program. I'm sorry, it's just,
Yeah.
you walk past books that have really horrible covers. And Erica's taught me from the beginning, your cover
Yeah.
must tell the whole story. So they must, the title, the cover, and then when they go into the bookshops, they go through the, like you said, the typesetting.
Yeah.
And if there's like, oh, you just showed me a book now where that it's so far in the binding that you can't read.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, there's so much that's going into a book that the readers don't know
Yes.
to make it reader friendly. But what the authors need to know, ultimately the reader must pick their book up and just want to read it.
Yes.
And there's so many facets, especially
Yes.
from being a typesetter. The margins need to be correct. Like you say, the gutter, the text mustn't flow into the gutter. It must be easily you must open it easily. And I love white space in a book because I always
makes it easy to read.
yeah. And what I try to do with the margins on the outside margins, to at least have a thumb size
Yes.
available.
So on both sides.
Yeah, on both sides, so that the reader can easily just read in bed.
Yes.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of typesetters that they go according to, sorry about this, but they go
Formats.
according to Amazon standards, and
Yes.
Amazon's minimum standard is 13 millimeters. That's very tight, and it's not really. I use at least 20 millimeters
Okay.
for enough space
On
for
both
the,
sides?
on both sides
Okay.
for the reader's thumbs to
And
fit.
for someone who's doing their own book and they're doing typesetting, do they use Word? What program are they using?
I will strongly advise not to use Word. Word is not.
And it changes from computer
Yeah.
to computer. I've
Yes.
noticed that.
It's not a design, especially a professional design program for books.
Yes.
There's various programs. I work with InDesign, that's the industry standard. And unless you know what you're doing, I will really advise authors not to do their own page design.
Yes.
Page design and typesetting is
Like
just
the
as
cover.
important as
Yes.
cover design, editing, and
Yes.
all the other factors, printing as well, all the other factors that makes up a good book.
What do you use, Erica, for your hello, are you there? Hello. Hello. Okay, how do you spell that? With a V, right?
I love Vellum because yes, no, I bought a Mac just for this program because Vellum only works on MacBooks and laptops and computers. They don't have a Windows version.
Oh, really?
But yes, it has. You know what? I used to work on InDesign like you, Claire. But I tear my hair out.
It's a difficult
It's
program.
It's just this. It's too much things that it takes a while to get into it, and it's not that I didn't master it. I did, but it's just Vellum is just so much easier. You cannot do a lot of things with Vellum. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a header. You can do maybe a little header image and things like that, but it looks so beautiful. The choices you have they've got a few choices of how your headers can look like. I usually do if I really want to do something beautiful, I would design the headers and then, just keep the images small because the images does, make the book bigger at the end of the day. And then, the royalties are going to be less. But Vellum sort of, it takes away that nitty-gritty things that not a lot of people know about that
Yeah.
they have to do. And it's really, I format a book in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how easy Vellum is.
Yes, I've heard that.
And it is worth every penny. I mean, and it creates a MOBI, it creates an EPUB, it creates a PDF for prints.
Yes.
And you know what? Amazon takes it one shot. There's no glitches, there's no anything. But yes, if you want the beautiful designs, like I'm always going for the pretty. I love pretty. There are quite a few typesetting designers out there that creates beautiful
Full
books.
books, yeah.
Where the headers are like the pictures the entire page full, and it's just beautiful to look at, which also helps in selling the book. InDesign will be the perfect program to use for that. But for just, if you just want to have a digital copy that is about your book and it looks professional and it looks clean, Vellum is really a good program that I would suggest if you have a MacBook or laptop or computer. And it's sad that they also expensive in South Africa.
Yes.
I mean, I've looked at the prices of Mac. It's crazy, and there are some whispers from Vellum side that they will get a Windows or Microsoft version, or I don't know. Yeah, I think it's Windows. I always get confused with computer terms. But whenever that's going to happen, I do not know. So yes, I couldn't wait, and I got myself a Mac, and I'm not looking back. I mean, the only time that I do use InDesign is creating children's books.
Print books.
Yeah.
But that's like, I don't know, the created one. It's like headache on headache on headache. They are so difficult to create.
Yeah.
Have
And
you
it
ever
saves
created
money.
a children's book? Okay.
Yeah, I've just done my first children's book, and
Yay.
I've actually got a sample copy here, so I'll show you guys.
Beautiful.
yeah.
You excited about that?
I'm very excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for children's books, do they go to an illustrator?
Yeah, you need to have a very good illustrator.
Yes.
Because with children's books, it's very visual.
Yes.
And children is actually a difficult market. You need to impress them.
Especially
Oh,
these
it is.
days, because
It's-
there's so much
yeah.
out
Yeah.
there.
So you need to know who
It's
your
a very
target
difficult
audience
one.
is.
Mm,
Okay, but just going
Yeah.
back to Vellum,
and
I know that there's a lot of indie authors using it. It's easy to use and it's cost effective as well. You don't have to pay a professional like myself. But InDesign, it's been difficult for myself as well. And I actually went for a course at AAA just to get the basics.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Yes.
yes. Look, I figure everything myself. YouTube is my course. I take all my courses on YouTube. And that has helped a lot as well. If I struggle with something, I just go YouTube. And there's always some guru on there that is breaking it down for you. But
Yes.
like I said, I am struggling. InDesign is probably one of the most difficult
programs out there.
designing programs there is.
Yeah.
And whenever someone asks me they want a beautiful copy, immediately it's like InDesign. I know it's going to take me at least 3 days,
Yes.
just to get everything ready. Is there a template or something that you can use if you have InDesign? Because that's one of the things I always struggle with.
Yes.
Is how to set up, the copy. Because if you look, you have to set up everything. It's not gonna come out like a great space template or anything like that. And that's where I struggle. Is there a way that you get templates, and how
There
do you
is.
upload it on InDesign?
Yeah, there is templates. There's a company called Book Design Expert or something. Sorry about that. But it's run by now I forgot the name. Friedlander, Joel Friedlander. And he's got a company called Book Design Expert. They you can buy templates from them. They've got both Word templates and InDesign templates, and it's not really that expensive for the author that wants to go the DIY route.
So it's just like
Yeah.
a plug-in for the computer
Yes.
program.
Yeah, you actually download the
Yes.
template with
Yes.
all the size. You can decide. They've got various sizes on there, so
Yes.
you need to decide on your size, what
Yes.
size you opting for. Then you download that, pay through PayPal, and then download it. and then you can rework according to the template. And I've never used it before, I must admit, but I think from what I've read, it looks very
And
easy.
from InDesign, can you save your text layout as a eCopy, Mobi, PDF straight from there?
Unfortunately not. InDesign is still, I'm not sure about the new one, but it's still very tricky. You still need to do a lot of coding.
Yes.
So there is
with the e-copying.
yeah, you can export to
Yes.
EPUB, but there's a lot of cleanup that you need to do. So what
Yes.
I use is I export to EPUB and then I clean it up in either Calibre or
So a lot of work.
yeah. So
So best you hire someone.
yes, yeah, there's experts out there. So and even professionals like myself that's been in the industry for long, we can't do everything. So
Yes.
there's I've got my set of freelancers that I work with, cover designers, editors, and so forth.
Especially if you sign on new authors, there's always and sometimes authors change their manuscript from their first edition to the second to
Yeah.
add more or to they found more mistakes. So you're going to be busy
Again.
all the time.
Yeah, but I know there's a very nice function in InDesign where you can actually easily change the copy wherever. Then it will just change the copy with the layout.
Okay, so it keeps the template
yeah.
that you've used.
Yes,
And you just upload the new document. And
that's right.
Okay,
That's correct.
perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds easy enough.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Yes. And okay, so basically, Claire, what Book Lingo does is you assist first-time authors, because let's face it, there's a lot of publishers out there, especially vanity presses,
Yes.
that take advantage of first-time
Yes.
authors. I mean, and not a lot. I mean, if you don't belong to a community group on Facebook or writers group, these authors fall into that ditch. And at the end of the day, they pay like 80 grand. I mean, I saw these figures that some of
Yeah.
them takes out to pay. And it's like,
That is
why
insane.
do you do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've got a perfect
so basically
example.
what you do is you assist them in getting their book ready
Yeah.
for self-publishing.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, I do. And going back to the vanity publishers, I've got a perfect example. I just, one of the books that I've recently published, the author actually published, I'm not going to name the name of the vanity press, but
This is called Gossip with a Quill for a reason. We are going to
Name
name
and
you.
shame.
okay, if I can name them, it was Partridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I've been approached by them. Oh my gosh,
And-
I delete.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and-
they
yeah.
have this marketing campaign because they're part of Penguin, are
Yeah.
they not? Yes.
They're part of Penguin.
So they've opened up another side to them where you can submit as an indie publisher. So you pay them to do everything for you, right?
Yes.
So they
yeah.
do the cover for you, they
They
do the
do.
editing, they do the distribution, they do the printing,
Yeah.
and you pay them.
They do everything. So this author printed a limited amount of 100 copies and paid about 50,000 for the book to be published.
From beginning to where it's
yeah.
ready to go out.
So I got the book to distribute, so it wasn't really a success because the story in itself was very strong.
So
and
they
needed-
didn't offer distribution, or did she not have enough to pay them to distribute?
They often offer distribution through Amazon, but
Okay.
international, not
Oh,
local.
yes,
So
okay.
what happens is that there's a very small clause in their contract that a lot of authors miss. It says that the copyright, like always, belongs to the
them.
author.
Oh, to the
But-
author. Yes.
But the book files that they design and
Yes,
everything in
okay.
it belongs
To
to
them.
them. So that ties the author into a contract where they can't take that book and print it anywhere else.
Oh my
they
gosh.
need
And they
to-
can't distribute review
Yeah.
copies, they
So-
can't do giveaways.
Yeah, so what happens? They need to print with internationally. The books come from
And then
the
it's like
US or
500 rand a book.
yeah. So at the end of the day, you can't really distribute the book because there's no profit margin left for the author, and the author makes at least, I've crunched the numbers, and they
Yes.
make at least 70 to 80% loss on the production or the production
My
of
first
the
book I also signed with the Vanity Press, and they kept the first 1,000 sales because I didn't read the contract properly, and I made them over $10,000, and I got 8% of that. And then you guys need to read the contract. And then what happens is you need to read it in terms of, they said they keeping the first few copies. I think it was 100 copies sales
Yes.
to pay for distribution, and it was hectic. Look, I don't regret it because their reach was quite far and wide.
Yeah.
The distribution was international, Germany, everywhere. So but I lost a lot. I mean, it was only 8% royalties that I got, and my book in the store
ridiculous,
was
yeah.
400 to 500 rand.
Yes.
And then the e-copies was something like, I think if I can remember back, was something like $15 an e-copy.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
I know.
It's crazy. And I don't know, there's this
Yeah, no,
notion,
that is-
there's this notion from South African authors that there's not that South African publishers isn't good enough, so they will rather go with the international ones, and it's not the right way
I
to
think
go.
also is that it's easier for at the moment. I found when I was before I did Quill publishing, it was easier to get into the international publishing market
That's true.
than for South African publisher to publish you, because you're writing fiction,
Yeah.
or because it's fantasy, and who are you, and they want to sign on the big names.
Yeah.
And I understand from any like big publishing company, you want to be able to have a good name in your house, someone that you can market easily.
Yes.
But if you're not giving new authors a chance,
Exactly.
then what happens is it's like a backlash where South Africans don't want to do this kind of industry locally, because no one's taking them seriously, no one's taking them on.
Yeah.
They don't think that fiction is worth the efforts, and you're a female writer in South Africa, you're not going to do very well.
And take you and Erika, you best-selling authors internationally, but you're not recognized in your own country.
It's very
That's a
sad.
disgrace.
It is very sad.
It's
We
not
are
right.
USA today. Excuse me.
USA, yes.
And
Don't forget that title.
USA Today.
No, that is, like I said, that is true, and I mean, it's funny because we've worked with publicists before when we started out.
Yes.
And the main golden rule was you have to be someone in your own country before you can make it overseas.
And it's so difficult.
And then they met me, and they absolutely have no no words to describe how it happened, because I mean, I'm still relatively small in South Africa when it comes to the author communication community, but overseas we've got such a huge platform, and we've got a lot of fans. I mean, even Carlisle as well, she's got a lot of fans overseas. I have a lot of fans overseas that South Africa will never be able to compete with, which is just so strange. But the one thing that I have discovered, though, is as a publishing company, I have to be somewhere in South Africa. If I want to get extensive distribution through another distribution in America or in England or wherever. So, yes, that is very difficult for me at the moment, because it doesn't work like an author. And, unfortunately, distributors that side are interested in sales figures and,
unfortunately.
what your product looks like and everything. And that's why I say, your book has to be the best it can be before you launch it. When get that $700 cover designer, because it is going to pay off.
Okay, we're going for an ad. We're going for an
my
ad
first-
break in a few seconds. So just finish that quickly. Hello.
Okay, so yes, getting all those things are really, really important when it comes to publishing your first book. So the readers need to really write down your details if they want to publish a book, as you are the person that's going to be able to help them to get there.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we're going for an ad break. When we come back, we'll talk more about publishing South Africa versus internationally.
This is what you missed on brandlive.co.za.
This is new. I'm the first in line to celebrate others but never myself. I'm part of the few that say, I'm a beautiful mess. I try to pay more attention to the beauty in the details so I could see less of the mess, but my mess traces me so beautifully, pinpointing my authenticity. From the melanin in my skin to the kinks in my hair, I know it's not fair. I'm beautiful, but so are you, in your own special way. See, the inequality in this world has brought about issues of race and gender. But I promise you, if you remove the speck from your eye, you'll see that there's no difference between you and I.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
And we're back with Gossip with a Quill. I'm Carlisle and she is...
Cair Rose.
And Erica, are you on the line? Hello, Erica.
Yes, I have to make sure because this is the publishing company's phone and it could be someone else. You never know.
Okay, so before the ad break,
So
we
we're
were...
back.
Yes, we're back. Before the ad break, we were talking
awesome.
about publishing South Africa versus internationally, and what a shame it is that South African authors find it easier and always choose going international rather than locally. Because we're just finding that South African authors are struggling to get the resources, but that is changing because we have Quill Publishing and we have Book Lingo, where authors can come to.
Yes.
And you do the distribution in South African bookshops.
Yes, South African bookshops nationally.
Okay.
Yes, so from exclusive books to the small guys, small indies like Scoops and Love Books.
Do you offer book launches for authors in the bookshops, or is that still unexplored?
Yeah, it's basically the authors. I always say presence and launching your book is very important. So I will advise the authors to actually do book launches.
Okay.
I specifically work with the indies because I feel that it's needed to give them and they work better with Scoops has been amazing.
Yes, yes.
With indie authors.
Yes.
And promoting them. And there's always a following as well. There's now a tribe following.
Yes,
so
community.
Yeah, community around around them. So it's important for the authors to actually have book launches.
So you'll give the author a distribution list of where the books are being sold, and they can phone up the bookshops and say, can we organize a signing event and make sure there's so many copies and there's so many guests and so on.
Okay, for book signings,
Yes.
the authors can't go to the bookshops directly. A lot of the bookshop managers don't want to deal with the authors directly. That's why they
want to deal with the publisher.
Either the publisher or the distributor.
Okay.
And the distributor need to make like I'm now busy with Bargain Books to organize book signings for next year for our authors.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So it is, and it's necessary. As I say, the public presence is really, really necessary.
Yes.
It's no good that the author just hide in their corner and
Yes.
not present and show their book
Yes.
to the public.
Yes.
It's needed. And social media as well. Punting the book constantly.
All the time.
Constantly on
Yes.
social media.
Begging.
Yeah.
Please, share my stuff. Help me.
Yeah, but it's changing, and we've got I've recently had a talk at the indie networking group that's also running. They call themselves Ian, and they've got more than 600 followers on their page,
Okay.
and that's a growing community as well.
Is it locally?
It's locally. They
Okay.
operate. They've got monthly events at
Yes.
Scoops. So for anyone that's interested in self-publishing and just want some guidance,
Yes.
and also being an author as well as a publisher, it's a lonely journey.
Yes.
So it's necessary for authors to actually reach out to each other, specifically in South Africa. There's still
It's
this
not
thing.
enough.
Yeah, there's still. You've mentioned it earlier that a lot of the South African authors and even the publishers don't want to share, and we need to get around the stigma.
Because how are we going to build a book culture?
Yes.
And we need to
Yeah.
share readers because, like I mentioned to you before,
Yes.
I write a book, I publish it, and then what? The reader wants another book in the same genre, but I'm too selfish to share. Oh, there's someone else that writes a similar stuff. You need to share your readers because
Yeah.
readers are reading all the time, and the authors can't produce all the time. So share your readers.
Share your readers, and that's how you grow each other.
And that's how you grow a book
Yeah.
community, because I think a big
Yes.
thing in South Africa is we don't have enough people that read
Yeah.
compared to other countries.
Compared to other countries.
Yes.
But as I say, it's changing. I just feel there's a lot of statistics saying that South Africans don't read, but I beg to differ. I think there's a lot of people. It's
hiding.
just they're hiding. It's also accessibility and the fact that books in
Yes.
South Africa is so expensive.
And there aren't enough
yeah.
bookshops, there aren't
Yeah.
libraries in schools, there aren't libraries in
Yeah.
the municipality areas.
Yeah, I would just like to mention this. Last year, I had the opportunity to go to Algeria, and they had the same issues and problems like us in South
Yes.
Africa.
There's a lot of countries.
And how they turned their demographics and reading culture around is that they dropped the price of books to the same as buying a sandwich and a
Okay.
cool drink outside
Yes.
at your corner cafe.
Yes.
And that has changed the industry so much, although
It's
books
made a
are,
huge impact.
Yeah. So now they've increased the demand, increased numbers, and
Oh,
this I
beautiful.
think this is what we need in South
Yes.
Africa.
I went to New Zealand. You should see the prices of their books there were shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Is it high or low?
Yeah, it's very high. I think
Sure.
it was higher than exclusive books. Like you're looking at a book at about 600
Yeah.
bucks.
Sure.
Yeah.
But there's another thing that authors need to know. So you need to know your markets. If you are like you specifically focus on the international market, so you need to drive and place your pricing for that international market.
Yes.
You can't what you sell the book in South Africa won't work in the
Yes.
US, for instance. What sell in
But
South Africa?
strangely
Yeah.
enough, you get your international books that are selling cheaper than your local books in your
Because the
bookstores.
demand, there's the demand. The
Okay, I
other
hear what
thing
you're
is
saying.
also a lot of the international books is very cheap to print internationally.
Yes.
So we receive like bargain books buy in bulk. So
And
they
Reader's
receive,
Warehouse as well. They're
Yeah.
quite cheap.
Yes.
Mm.
So they receive bulk books, and then they can actually price the books
Yes.
at the prices that
It's your basic
they,
economic supply and
Yeah.
demand. Got
supply
it.
and demand. Yeah, it's the same as printing. The more you print, the cheaper the unit
Yes.
costs. So the same thing applies in ordering books.
Yes. And also for author to think about who is my target market, who am I writing for, you actually have to put your mind into the person that you're selling to. So you have to think, what apps is this person using?
Yeah.
Okay, this person, what is this person buying with her extra cash or with his extra cash? Where are they shopping? And think about how you can get your book onto those apps that they're using, or Google ads where it can pop up where they going through social media, that kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
have to zone into the reader's head and think about what are they buying, what are their interests. You really have to get into it.
It's very important. And I always say it's 20-80% rule,
Okay.
where 20% is your writing,
Yes,
and then 80% is
Sure.
actually the marketing.
the selling of the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Are you still
Okay,
there?
sorry guys. You sound like little Martians. I think there's something terribly wrong with my side of the So I'm only hearing like every second, third word.
Oh, and you're on a landline.
But,
Welcome to third world country.
But yes, it's it's like you've said, they have to, authors have to learn how to market their books. I mean, we didn't know either. And it's not just, print copies, but you have to have an online presence as well. I think online is more than, physical copy.
Yes.
And you need to know how to do those ads and how to, push to get more sales in, because at the end of the day, the money does lie in the digital and not really in the paperback, because everybody takes a piece of the pie when it comes to your physical copy.
Selling to the
So,
physical
so
copy.
I think the fees there are extremely high with some distributors, and especially the stores that wants that big amount of discount.
Yeah.
How do you work around that, or do you just,
in
do
terms
this?
of in terms of book selling and book distribution, getting your books into the bookshops, there's various people involved. You have your bookshops, and then you've got your distributor, and then you've got the author or the book, the product. So within the bookshops, the thing is, the bookshops take the standard discount is 45% currently.
Oh gosh, that's hectic.
But some
That's very
bookshops go up to as much as 50%, believe it or not.
Yes.
But the thing is, they operating from high rental spaces. They need to
Yes, cover their costs
cover
too.
costs. And then like exclusives add a slight markup on top of the price for any shrinkage and theft of
Yes.
the book.
So insurance.
Yeah.
Yes.
So so if you sell the book to them at 200, there is a slight markup on top of the price. So
Yes.
in terms of the distributor, believe it or not, gets a very small cut. If we're lucky, we get about 8%.
Oh gosh.
Because there's people that we need to pay. You've got your sales reps. That's normally anything between 10 to
It's a salary.
15%. They need to get their commission on sales.
It's a business.
Yeah, it's a business. And then you have your the courier costs for sending the books from your premises to the bookshops, and all of that, and also the administration. The administration is absolutely
It's a lot of work.
Nightmare.
We've got like a minute left of the show. Is there any tips you would give an author right now to say, this is what you need to do to get your book out there?
Again, I will stress
Good product.
yeah, product quality.
Yes.
Cover is very important. Spine as well. A lot of
Yes.
people don't
Neglect that.
neglect the spine.
Yes.
The page design. Make sure you invest in a good editor.
Yes.
That's very important.
And get a team behind you.
Yeah, get a team behind you, and also get the books. A lot of people don't want to distribute in the bookshops, but I say it's important because for marketing purposes.
Because South Africa is still
yes.
very much a physical product
Yeah.
kind of nation.
Yes.
Yes.
And the bookshops is the holy grail still of the industry.
So if you want to hit Cair Rose Julius up, Book Lingo, you can find her at www.booklingo.co.za. Skype Book Lingo, and then we will have all her links up on our page, and then we'll have a big newsletter going out with all the links if you want to sign up to the newsletter. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for inviting me, guys. This was exciting.
I wish I was there. I haven't seen you in
And
ages.
I think
but
the
thank
more
you
we,
so much.
I think the more we talk about books and just keep pushing, we'll make a difference some
Yes.
way, somehow.
Yes,
One
yes,
book at a time.
yes, we will.
Yes.
Goodbye, my book-loving people.
Bye.
Live from 27 boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.